is the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. And this morning we're going to look at what more do we need to do to achieve success in business. My name is Lowell Ann, and in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs stay focused and motivated as we take their business to the next level using some pretty simple structures and some easy technology. We'll be right back right after this. Greetings wherever you are, and welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This is a weekly event intended as a support for solopreneurs. We get together because we enjoy each other's company, but we also like exchanging ideas and information, and we do lots of experimenting. We also give and receive support. You can discover what we stand for by looking at the operating principles on my website page, where I hope that you, if you're not able to come in and join the green room, that you might at least participate on my website by listening in to the video and posting your comments in there. So I want to welcome any viewers who happen to be out there and invite them to put a comment in there and tell us that you're here and tell us what you're up to. So now it's time for the members of the panel to introduce themselves. So I see Gina just coming in, and Nancy had to step away for a moment. So Vivek, maybe it's more convenient for you to start this morning.
Namaste. My name is Vivek.
Namaste.
And Vivek Technology is my brand. Unify, simplify, amplify life is my tagline, and that's what I aim to do. One has to go through a lot of sophistication to get to the simplicity that you want, which also means you would be doing a few things which probably would fail or not work out as they should.
Yes, and that would be one of the things that we should talk about when we get to our topic. So thanks for your support here, Vivek. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So Gina, it looks like you're not muted, so why don't you start?
Okay, thanks, Luann. So Gina Donaldson here in, which unfortunately is a very smoky morning in British Columbia due to the 600 forest fires in our province. My business is personal passage planning. I help people put in place everything that they need to do to manage both planned and disruptive life change.
Huh. take care of your stuff.
Yes. Manage your
Or
affairs.
manage your affairs. Yeah, that's a nicer way to say it. For me, it's taking care of my stuff. And I've got that pile on the floor that I'm still waiting to do, still trying to find the time.
I have something coming your way.
Oh, right on. So I'm happy you're here this morning, Gina.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. And of course, I usually forget to say that I'm in Victoria, British Columbia. And Vivek, I think you forgot to say you were in the UK this morning. So
Yes, I am in England, and here now it's evening here. It is 25 degrees centigrade
Yeah.
here inside.
yeah.
So it has been warm days. It has been raining a little bit, so it cooled down.
Ah, my phone tells me it's only 16 here. I don't know if it sort of felt warmer than that this morning though. Yeah. But you're right, Gina. I mean the smoke is you can hardly see the sun here. Yeah. Right on. So happy you joined us. So Nancy.
Good morning. I'm here in a little bit smoky Victoria, British Columbia. And I noticed the sun this morning was a beautiful red, and that was the real tip off. It's like, oops, that's a forest fire sun. And looking out my window up to the hills, I could see it smoking. But anyway, it's still a beautiful place to be. And my business is Soul Nourishment, and I work with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, helping people find relief naturally, so that they can create a lifelong lifestyle they love. And I can do that for you in 2 simple steps. So that's my latest thing, is after, I guess, about 18 years of research and development and self-care, because I myself have fibromyalgia and I'm symptom-free. I have found a wonderful, simple way to deal with that. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, a Qigong practitioner. I teach Qigong here in Victoria, and I'm a bioenergetic healer. So thank you very much, Lolan, for hosting this morning.
Oh, right on.
Nice to see everyone.
It's nice to have you here. Oh, there's Alana. You're just in time, Alana. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Alana, coming to you from Ireland, and my business is ALB Digital Marketing, and I help people SEO their websites and make their presence better online. I also run a website called EmptyNesterBlog.com, where I teach people to make money online. So, yeah, that's it.
Right on. And so, Alana, you might want to adjust there. That's better. I've
had kind of a stressful day today, because my accountant is on to us about getting our tax info to them, and my husband's not a very good record keeper, and so yeah. Good thing let's just say it's a good thing he wasn't here today, because the walls were screaming.
Not you, just the walls, eh?
The walls were screaming. Yeah, I was screaming at the walls, actually.
Oh, so
that's the other hat that I wear. So I also help my husband with his bookkeeping. So
yeah, right on. So I'm glad you made it, and this is a funny time of year to be worrying about tax time.
Well, our taxes here are due in October. And I know in the U.S. they're due in April, and so our year end was in. Well, the year end for his business was end of June, and my year end is end of May. So we have to get that stuff to them so they can file it by the end of October.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Well, the tax.
And now I have a bigger headache, so I have to do my own as well.
Yeah. So tax time is always stressful for everybody, I think. So, my condolences.
More discussion of tax time, and I'm leaving.
Right. There you go.
I was just saying to Lowell-Ann and everyone in the green room that, the walls today were screaming because my husband's not very good at
Yeah, talking of tax, I have received a check back from the
Tax
government.
man.
Yeah, so I felt really good about that. I mean,
Just rub it in, wouldn't you? It's usually going the other way.
yeah.
Right on. So, Jay, how would you're just popped in time to introduce yourself.
Oh, perfect. Hi, my name is Jay. My company is Magi Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Happy to be here.
Happy you're here. So, we've already talked about all the gray skies here, Jay, so we don't need to. Jay is also in Victoria, so.
I don't know about you guys. Sunny here in Langford.
Oh, yeah, right.
Not hazy at all.
Oh, dear.
I'm just grateful the fires are not actually here.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. So, Gina, you said how many fires in this province? I didn't pick that up.
600.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we have a couple on the island, as you know,
Yes.
starting with the Nanaimo area and a bit north. But yeah, it's a bit of a concern.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Well, this morning, folks, we were going to speak about and talk about how to become successful in business. And I guess I maybe need to put the word more successful in there. As I was thinking about how we might approach this topic, I really was thinking about what more can we do. Oh, and before we get to that topic, I have to say something to those people in the green room. Vivek and I did an upgrade to the Chipmunk system, and you probably got 2 emails this morning. One of them has an error in it. The other one is working perfectly. So I was happy to see the one that's working perfectly, but I do apologize for the fact that you got 2. And we shall take measures to correct that. So that leads us back into something that Vivek said earlier, and what more can we do? And as we were chatting about that in the before we started recording, one of the things that I had said is that we need to be constantly experimenting, and he upgraded that by saying, yes, and we have to be prepared to fail, because if we're experimenting and trying new things and doing various things, they don't always work the first time. And if we wait until, quote, everything is perfect, we really don't learn anything new about our business. So that was one of the pieces that we talked about. So the other piece that has been front and center for me this week, and Jay, it's all your fault. Because of that wonderful book that you recommended. I do know that both Nancy and I have been working on it. I don't know if anybody else is, but the 1 hour content manager, 1 hour content, anyway. And so as I read through all of that, and as I've been working through some things that were recommended in that book, I realized that what I'm spending some time on right now is some measures that will increase my efficiency. And I think I think as time goes on, as solopreneurs, we really have to pay attention to our efficiency, because we've only got so many hours in a day to do so many things. So that is one of the pieces. And then, having said only so many hours in a day and only so much that we can do, we can think about providing service or a product one-on-one or one-to-one. And we can increase our business success as we think about ways to deliver what we do one-to-many. So, but it really does all come down to paying attention to our efficiencies, I think. So there's where my mind went based on what's been going on in my business life right now. So I throw it out to the other members of the group here. What more what more can you do, or what more can we do from your perspective? And I don't know who would like to take the conch first.
Well, I'll hop in because I did have a conversation with Lolan yesterday. And as I started working through that 1 hour philosophy, which is excellent, I realized I have to have a really great, up-to-date, current, all of that stuff website that reflects my niche very clearly. So on that note, I've taken my umbrella website that I've had for about 15 years, and I'm taking it apart into, so one is a niche clearly on fibromyalgia, chronic pain, natural relief approach, and the other's on Qigong, and there'll be another one on USANA, health sciences, and supplementation, cellular health, anti-inflammatory. But right, it's so much work. So realizing, you have to change the whole tone of everything. So copy and pasting some things, but the really important thing for me, or interesting, was, and this might be a good tip for some of you if you're doing something like this, is I looked at my old website that had a gazillion words, and I took little chunks of it, like just for example, different segments of Qigong, like 4 elements, blah, blah, blah. And I just put them into the post. All of a sudden that became a post. And I know it's not meeting all the parameters, like it's not 1,000 words. Some might be 350, 400, 500. But if people want to see the information, boom, it's there in a post. So I think that's more accessible. And then the website's more streamlined. It's not, it's about 4 pages. So that's what I've been doing, and using the SEO tool through Wealthy Affiliate, Jaxi, to change the titles and the keywords in those posts so that they're going to rank a little better. So every step of the way, I've been using Jaxi in terms of the title of the blog or the websites and all that. So, yeah, juggling a couple of balls in the air today. 2 websites.
but working toward some more greater efficiencies.
So once this is done, and I think by the end of the week I'll be ready, then I'll step into the 1 hour vlogging thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
little tidying up first. Yeah. I was saying a little tidying up first before.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that that's what I'm up to, and hopefully some of you might be inspired to do the same.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And as your site grows and becomes more of an authority figure within that industry and within that niche, you can step away from having like exact match titles and whatnot and be a little more creative, because the search engines will start to consider your site an authority. And what that basically means is you can be a little more dynamic with your titles, with your post titles and whatnot. And it'll understand what you mean based on the other metrics that you're using to try to rank for a specific keyword. So when you're just starting out, I recommend, doing exactly what you're doing.
And also just going right for the basics right now. Like I haven't added in, like at the end of those articles that are now blog posts, I haven't added in any call to actions or any links. Let's just get it up, then go back in and add in those little
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, step by step. Avoid
Yeah.
overwhelm as much as possible.
Right.
So may I have the conch now?
Almost. I just realized that I wanted to acknowledge that Heidi is with us out on the website page, and she says she's joining us on the outside today and saying hello to everybody. So happy you're here, Heidi. So now you can have the conch.
Similarly, Bill Graham said a message. Stopped in for a few minutes. Can't stay long. Hope to see you all soon. Bill Graham says. And
Oh,
then
well,
Arthur.
let me say, Bill, we miss you.
Hashtag free Bill.
Yeah, and somebody was asking me about you yesterday. Where is Bill? We haven't seen him forever. So, so I'm glad you stopped by, Bill. And I see Arthur is there as well. And Arthur, what did you say? Quick questions. Are you using YouTube Live, HOA, or Zoom? This is a Zoom. Inside the green room is Zoom. Yeah. But it's being transmitted over to YouTube. So it's kind of both. So, Jay, thank you for posting the 1 hour content plan. Yes, 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 yes. And I must say that author, it's been really kind of fun to watch her process as well. Not just the book, but observing how the book fits in with everything else that she's doing. It's quite instructive. Yeah. So I guess that's another what more can we do in terms of being successful is constantly doing for ourselves professional development and finding new tools and observing some different approaches and experimenting and trying out what might work for. Of course, you can never cookie cutter. You can't copy what other people are doing because their niche is a little bit different from your niche. But you get ideas by observing other people, and that whole experimentation thing is really important. So yeah.
Can I say one quick thing in regards to Mira before Jay has his
Yeah.
mic? I just want to say what I've noticed, and I find it quite interesting, is in terms of opt-ins and those email autoresponders. Her emails come at all kinds of funny times, right? Like every morning, it's like, oh, where's her next thing? Oh, it's not there, and then something comes in like in a couple of days or a day. So I think that's interesting in that it's keeping me anyway on my toes. Like I'm waiting for her next piece, so it shows that she's really powerful in what she's doing. And yet it is an interesting format. Maybe Jay could speak to that.
Yeah, you are an experiment. And I say that because what happens is what I'm guessing that she's doing in the inception of her email autoresponder series is that she's sending out her, because it's called a drip campaign, so it's all pre-made, right? She probably has an entire year's worth of emails pre-made, and she's at the first part, she's probably setting it up to have it sent at different times of the day and seeing what kind of response she gets based on those times. And what happens is email based on whatever time that it's sent, a tag is created. If you open it at 1 p.m., you're tagged as 1 p.m. If you open it at 7 a.m., then you're tagged at that time. And then a shift happens with future emails to say, okay, well, this particular person is more responsive at 1 p.m. So then a shift happens and emails will happen. Will open at at that time. So that's my hypothesis.
Yeah, the other thing that I noticed about her process was because, and this has to do with the fact that I started, and probably Nancy did too. We started out first with her book. And then within her book, there's a link to her templates and, a nice little concise thing that person could sort of flip through and work with. And then once you finish the book, then you start to get these, and I guess you had to provide your email to get the templates. So then her drip campaign seemed to kind of support and promote and expand a little bit on the whole process that she introduced in the book. So it was as Nancy said, her emails are keeping you sort of on the edge and staying focused on what it was that you wanted to do. So that I found that interesting, because from where I said, I would have thought, well, provide new information right away, and that's not what she did. She provided kind of support for the information that was in the book. So then I noticed that I got 2 or 3 of those, and then there was something else, and then there was, I think she's moved into marketing now, and so there was a link there to go and download something more. So she's got that worked out. She's worked out that whole. I guess it's what you've referred to many times, is that funnel, a sales funnel. She's got that worked out so well that, but it's just fascinating to observe that. Yeah.
And I think that's just a wonderful segue for me to talk
Go
about
ahead.
the importance of building a funnel and how to build a funnel to become more successful. And the very start is to build yourself a little mind map, as to how the funnel works. And I think, we can all use different mind map apps online, but I actually use these things to build a funnel at first. Sticky notes.
Yeah.
And a table. And then I write on the sticky note, and I write what's, so Google search, boom, first one. And then I add a second one, and I write down the process that I want my clients or my traffic to go through for that end result. And then from there, I try to determine the how to do this efficiently, right? Or finding an automagically way to do it as best as possible. And then from there, determine what's working, determine what is not working, and scale and leverage what is working. Because it is really your audience and your client that determines your success, because it is how they respond to the service or the funnel that you essentially create. And this doesn't just apply to online business. This is offline business, consulting, things like that. and I think a mind map is an ongoing process based on the changes that you make with the growth pattern that you create. Real simple, easy growth hack is, what do you do upon the end of your sale with your client? Do you just let them go, or do you say, hey,
what more?
Review, or send a gift, or ask for a referral? Worst thing they'll say is no.
So Jay, you're cutting out every now and again, so I don't know if you're aware of that, but yeah. Right.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can solve that.
Yeah. So, but I couldn't agree more on in terms of that sales funnel, and that's basically what Mira's talking about as well. And when you talked about using the sticky notes to begin with, I used to use that process in my facilitation, and the value of that is so easy to move them around. And so you've just got the ideas and you get them down and you move them around until you've got something that kind of works well, and then you can put it into electronics. Yeah. So so we talked about here's something else that that has worked for me, and this was again as a result of something that I read in Mira's book. I posted, like, I have an email list that I've had for years. It's it's been building, etc., and it's been there for years. And I realized, I finally sort of thought, well, a lot of the people on that list have been there for years, and I decided to send them a message asking for their help. So I posed 5 questions and asked for their help, with the idea that they were helping me with a changing world. Things had changed for them, and to help me understand where they were now and what they might need. And I got several responses, and that it blew my mind, because almost every response had to do with the same one topic, which was not why people signed up in the first place. So that was a real mind blower for me. So I would say, and that this is another, as I say, it was an idea that was in Mira's book. Go and ask for their help, ask for their input. So so that was a real mind blower for me. Yeah.
It solidifies. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, that's better.
It solidifies what I was saying, how your audience really does dictate your success, and I think if you engage with them, absolutely, and this is something that I was talking about within the webinar at Wealthy Affiliate, about, engaging with your list, engaging with your audience. It makes a huge difference, asking for feedback, asking for comments, all that kind of stuff. And then again, it doesn't matter if it's an online business or an offline business. You could be a tax accountant, and you could still, ask for feedback.
So another piece that pops up for me, you guys are going to laugh about this. My walking partner and I were walking the beach at Island View Beach on Sunday, I guess it was. And we met a young woman who kind of joined us, and we started walking. And turns out she's an accountant locally, works in an accounting. When she found out that I work with businesses, she threw out a question, and could we talk about this, etc. Now here's the piece I want to say. Be ready. Don't ever go anywhere without your business card or something similar, because I had a brand new purse with me. I had my phone, and I neglected to put business cards. So what she and I did was open our phones. I opened my website on my phone, and she took a picture of it with her phone. So I began to realize, now that's not very efficient. I've got to figure out something that's a lot more streamlined than that.
Well, at least it was a low carbon footprint way to.
Yeah. So we were both laughing and saying like, "This is insane." So I guess the another piece around that is never go anywhere. Don't ever think that there aren't possible future clients or customers, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, and be ready, to do something in a streamlined way. So that's another piece that came up. But there we were walking out on the sandbars with our cell phones. I mean, who would guess that you would have a conversation walking the beach?
I actually have an image of my QR code.
Mm-hmm.
I have taken a picture of my QR code,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on my phone. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me and I have no business card, I can use that
Right.
on my phone screen rather than taking the picture of my website. And
Yeah. Well,
Maybe you can let everyone know what a QR code is.
yeah.
QR code is supposed to be quick response code, but that is not really helpful to know,
Mm-hmm.
because it all depends on how you implement the QR code. I've seen lots of QR codes where they take you to their website and dump you on their homepage,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like you're being dumped on the homepage, because and when you go there, it never relates to what you were talking about, or and then you won't know what to do next, and so on. So QR code is a complex thing. It needs to be worked out a bit. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there are lots of. It seems to me I did a get a QR code from Bentley.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
I
sure I
think
got that, or I mean, there's a
you
number
have
of other ways that you can do it.
I think you have, if I remember correctly, you were printing new business cards with the QR code.
I have a QR code on the back of my business card. Yes.
Yeah. Which actually adds all the details:
Mm-hmm.
your phone number, your website address, your address, a
Mm-hmm.
business address,
Mm-hmm.
um, all of that in one shot
Mm-hmm.
as a contact
Yeah.
details.
So,
So
but
that's what the QR code should do, not
yeah.
just take somebody to
Right.
a website.
So, in answer to what is a QR code? It's a square visual that has all kinds of funny little dots in it, and the person that you meet uses a QR code reader. They have to have a reader app on their phone. And so they just point their phone at it, and it takes their phone to whatever you want to have, whatever information you want to have there. So it's I thought I had, excuse me, I thought I had one there somewhere, but it just seemed to be faster as we were talking to do what I did. But the message for me is to have something that's accessible, easy for me, and easy for the other person. Yeah, there's a QR code that the Vivek is showing. Yeah. So
It's on my business card,
yeah.
and yeah.
So there's another thing. To be successful, we have to be ready and realize that things pop up whenever and wherever. So, anybody else got some ideas? Now, Gina, I remember this was this topic was of particular interest to you. So, anything that pops into your mind as we're talking about all of this?
Well, I guess we were talking about the potential advantages and disadvantages
Yeah, we
of
were.
solopreneurs, and I would say that for me, I've been grappling with my disadvantage in that I'm working through the system in Thinkific, and it's finally nice to get to content because I can do content, but working through their training system has been a bit of a chore, and it's really frustrating because it took me so much longer. So I think one of the things about being an entrepreneur is that you really do have to do so much more learning in areas that you're not sure of. And so, there's a lot of assumptions that, well, you know how to do this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, oh God, now I have to learn that, and this, just to get to where I'm going. And it's not a huge deal, but it's certainly it's rather uncomfortable going through a process when you're trying to be efficient, but it's time consuming until you get it. So. And Jay, I did look into Kajabi, and it just sort of worked out that I think in terms of what my business is doing, that Thinkific, as tricky as it is going to be.
I looked into and came to the same conclusion. That other one is way too expensive.
Yeah, and it's also really not. I don't think it's a good fit. But I'm getting through it. But I think that as a solopreneur, I think one of the things is if you're used to working with teams, which of course I've worked with my entire life, it's really hard to be a team of one. And,
I know that.
Not have somebody throw an idea at you or disagree with you or reread something. So I find I'm used to being really efficient, and it really drags me down to go through this slogging.
So being prepared to go through learning curves.
Yeah, but I do always.
We're full of them, aren't we?
Yeah, but I always carry my business card to all of our social events, and we went to a luncheon for the conservatory on Sunday, and sure enough, the lady at the table said, "Can I have your card?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
there." But
yeah,
and I also agree that Nancy, I had some feedback on my website because I had to reduce the words and I'd meant to go back, but I finally did go back, and it was really great to be able to slash and cut and clarify because it was the feedback that made the difference. Nobody else has given me anything but praise. Not all that helpful.
Right.
You need some critics in the audience.
Yeah. Well, and
show me your site. I'll rip it apart for you.
Oh, Jay, you're so sweet.
Well, Jay does that on Wealthy Affiliates. Every season he does. He invites people to submit their site, and he does a critique. And we all, by watching and listening, learn something from that critique. So it's certainly valuable. Yeah.
And he does it in a very gentle, graceful way.
Yes. Well, that one.
Not like falling down, crying by the end of it. Like, oh.
When you're giving feedback, providing feedback is a real skill. For sure. We know that from being in organizations. Yeah. So
Fred isn't here, but one of the things I heard at Toastmasters is I used to attend the Toastmasters lecture, but anyway, the way to give feedback is they said like a sandwich. You say a positive thing, that's the first layer, and then one which you don't really bitter.
An improvement opportunity is what you need to say for the middle of the sandwich.
Yeah, and then the other thing, and again a positive thing. So you sandwich the negative thing with the
That's good. That's a good plan. It's a good idea. Yeah. So, but it's go
Can I
ahead.
say something?
Yeah.
I think Gina brought up a really good point where collaboration is key. Even if you are a solopreneur, just to get feedback, and the feedback I think can come from just people within your network, your clients. Specifically, I have some clients that I work with where we've created a feedback form where the form is given to the client upon the completion of whatever service that they provide, and it provides the client to provide that business feedback, and based on that feedback, they can either see one of two pages. If it's a positive feedback, they see hey, thank you very much for your positive feedback. Since you're in the spirited mood of providing great feedback, can you leave us a review on Google, Facebook, wherever, right? And then if it's negative feedback, it's hey, sorry we didn't meet your demands and this and that. Let's follow up with a phone call later on. And then they don't see the please leave a negative review on these social sites. And
Right.
I've worked with clients where the industry in itself is very difficult to get reviews, and people will only leave negative reviews if they've had a negative experience. This is actually a cab company.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and since using this feedback form, their reviews have actually gone up. Their positive reviews have actually gone up. So it's a really good, and also they've learned about things that have gone wrong within their industry, because they don't have complete control of all of their cabs, and how the dynamic of human beings always creates realities within your corporation. So so it's been a really great system. So if you can create some sort of feedback system, and even just a simple Google form, I think would be ideal, if you don't have anything else, just to get feedback from your clients.
Jay, I've in my coaching work, I've always had when we're finishing a certain segment, I have a form where I ask them specifically, what do you remember that we set out to do? What results did we get? What would you do to improve the experience? And would you like to provide a testimonial that I could use? I've used that for years. Yeah. So, and I've yet to find a client who did not complete the form and return it to me. So that's so there's another rule, isn't it, or another idea. Seek and provide feedback. If we're not willing to provide feedback, how can we be asking people for feedback? So
Sorry, I was just going to say, I learned about creating, getting feedback from clients and stuff from a book by the CEO of Zappos. Zappos is an American company that sells shoes.
Yeah.
And book. I'll see if I can find the title by the end here.
Right on.
But, highly recommend all about creating, attaining feedback from people and creating that, because the whole corporate culture of Zappos is pretty neat. It kind of goes in line with how a lot of, I think they're I would say they're almost like the founding fathers of this happy, positive corporate culture that exists today in this kind of fun, whimsical type of scenario. So, so I'll get you the title of the book.
Yeah, right on. Perfect. So now, Alana, what about you? You're sitting back there. What do you think you need? You would need to do, or what have you observed?
Well, I suppose one of the things that I have really missed from working on a team is just basically bouncing ideas off each other. So when I worked in a technical support team, I used to really enjoy just sitting around and listening to hear how everybody would solve a problem. So, we'd all kind of chime in, and I used to really love to hear all the different ways that people had to solve these issues. Not to mention participating in it myself, but I suppose as someone, I consider myself somebody to wear wear a lot of hats, and I like that. I'm kind of I enjoy wearing a lot of hats because it keeps me busy and I don't get bored. So, but again, and I suppose it goes back to what we talked about when we first got on, and that's, trying to stay up to date with all the technology that you're using and staying ahead of the game by learning. You do have to constantly be learning. And if you're sitting at a desk all day, that's kind of hard to do. So participating in calls like this and sitting on the WA webinars on Friday night, when I can, that's kind of, what I try to do.
It's so that the other, I guess, the words I would use to kind of summarize that is the need for networking, whether it's online or whether it's face to face in the community or both. Yeah.
And I think you'd be really, like you were saying on your beach walk, you're really kind of surprised that, these conversations can happen anywhere, anytime. Like a client that I just took on a couple months ago, we were having to talk about banking. And she told me, what I should and shouldn't be doing as far as setting up my business, which I thought was very helpful of her. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks for all the advice, So, you just don't know where it's going to come from.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and like this morning, before all of you came, Fred dropped by, just to say, sorry, I can't stay. I'm in the process of moving and I've got a youth thing to do, etc. But I made him stay long enough so I could tell him that I went and watched most of one of his youth groups doing their own hangout and doing it from the Toastmasters model that he's teaching them. And these were kids probably 9 to maybe 14, somewhere in there. And it was just fascinating to watch them sort of following their process and doing everything. And so I said, Fred, but I need to give you some feedback. He was ready to hear it, and I said, you need to remind them to smile. They were so nervous. They were just like wooden boards. So, but it was just, and I encourage you, if you can find Fred's website and or his blog. There's a link to this video that they did. They did a hangout on air, and it's recorded in YouTube. But it was just really fun to see what those kids were doing. So
I think there's a hormone that creates a muscular deficiency right around here during the teen years to prevent them from smiling. So I think it goes away at around 19.
Oh, but I mean, as I was observing, the kids were nervous, especially the boy that was doing he was the master of ceremonies. And he had, quite a process to follow, and he was following it very diligently, etc. And it was really fun to observe and to see the result of what Fred was doing. So I encourage you all to go there. So what's this? Somebody's sharing something.
This is Jay sharing. This is that book that I was telling you about, called Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion, and Purpose. So Tony Heisch, he's the CEO of Zappos. And if you read here, #1 New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestseller, and the bullet points here says, pay brand new employees $2,000 to quit. Make customer service the responsibility of the entire company, not just a department. Focus on company culture as the #1 priority. Apply research from the science of happiness to running a business. help employees grow both personally and professionally, seek to change the world, and make money too.
Wow, cool. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Wow.
Yeah, great book. I really enjoyed this book, so I highly recommend the book.
Oh, right on. Can you post that the link to that on the VCP page, please?
Already did.
You did, eh? All right. Thank you. And of course, everybody knows that when you click on that, Jay is going to get a little bit of commission from that.
Yeah, GDPR confession, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't make money if you buy this book,
Right.
but only if you live in Ireland.
Right.
Is this Amazon.com that we're looking at?
Right now, yes. The link that I have inside the VCP on the web page is I put the US link and the Canadian link to Amazon.
Oh,
okay.
You can also buy it at a bookstore too. I just find that it's way more convenient on Amazon.
no kidding. Especially if you especially if you just want to download it to your Kindle. So, right on. Well, I've heard of that company and how well they do online, because people buy 4 or 5 pairs of shoes and can return them, after they find something that fits and all of that. I mean, I've always known them as being the place that's careful about serving the needs of the customer. But I never sort of realized that they had such interesting cultural policy. So that's cool. Right on. So now, who else have I missed? I really want to make sure that we hear. Well, Vivek, you've shared some things, but is there anything that you feel as though you would like to add to what we need, what more we can do as a business to be successful?
I think I would hark back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, if you're afraid to be wrong, if you feel that you have to be right all the time, then you are more likely to be wrong all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that whole perfectionism thing is a tricky thing, really tricky. Yeah.
And trying to get everything right before you take the first step, you will not go anywhere. You will not move a muscle. That's the problem. You'll go on thinking.
Okay, so and I'm looking at the time. We are almost at the top of the hour, but I just realized that I had one more thing on my list, and that was repurposing things. I had this fabulous conversation with another WA member on Friday night about repurposing all my videos. I have over 200 videos on my YouTube. And I know they're way too long for most people to want to watch. I know most people don't watch an hour-long video. That's not what people do. So thinking about how I could go into all of those old videos and finding a way to repurpose them in such a way, either by breaking things down and making them smaller, or taking a chunk out of there and writing a new blog post and combining the two, etc. So that was another piece that I thought was a really important thing to think about is when we are in business for a number of years, when we're new, we're starting out, we're trying to figure out how to do this and this and this. Well, when you've been in business for a long time, it's really important to go back and look at all this stuff and not do the upgrade, do the repurposing, do the whatever is going to freshen it up. So it strikes me that's important to do too.
That's
Can
how
I
I've been
add?
able to do webinars for the past 6 years. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
add something to what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
One quick way to do a timestamp or do what you are saying is, rather than painfully edit the whole video and actually break it into smaller pieces, you can timestamp your video and put the timestamps in the YouTube description.
Yeah.
And then the easiest way to do that is actually you create a Google Plus share of the YouTube video, and then put the timestamps in the message that you put for the G Plus message. When you put the numbers in a specific way, that number itself becomes a link to the YouTube video. So you have a specific point at a certain time, and you have the link. You click that number, it starts playing from that.
Ah. So now there is something that some of us might want to to connect with Vivek to kind of show us how to do that. Yeah.
You can look at an example on my, there are lots of examples on my website. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're welcome to visit my website and look at it.
Yeah. Well, one of
Book
the
review.
things that we were talking about was transcribing. So here's something that I hadn't realized. You can go into Google Docs. You can open a Google Doc and there's voice to text inside of Google Docs. So what I did was I just played with it to see how this would work. I played the video on my phone, held it up to the microphone while I had that voice to text, and it created a perfect transcription.
But YouTube already has captions.
I know it does, but I found that this worked more efficiently than the YouTube one did.
Or more, rather, you mean to say more accurately?
Yes.
Possibly.
Yes. Yeah.
YouTube one is not accurate.
Yeah.
What you're saying is probably it's going to be more accurate if you play it, because your computer's power is used to, yeah.
So it was that was there's another example of experimentation. So
Yeah, on that note, as I was shared with Lolan yesterday, as I was going through all my website stuff, things I'd forgotten about, I came across a couple of YouTube videos that were perfect for my About Me page.
Right.
Just watch the video. My whole story is right there in 2.5 minutes or whatever it was. So that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, go back and look at how you can use things in more than one way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would never have thought of that before. I was like, oh yeah, saves me writing all the
Great. Yeah, it's cool. So we're just about. I think it's time for us to close, unless somebody has something, a parting shot that they think that we missed something, or would like to add something.
If I can have 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things that I've recently done to change my business is hired a business coach. and yeah, that's the, I think as solopreneurs, and I think Gina really nailed it on the head about, it's hard to collaborate when you're a team of one, and I think hiring someone, whether it be, some sort of consultant or a business coach, is very ideal, because it's been a really great way to whether it be get things off my chest or talk about strategy, bounce ideas off of someone else. It's been a really
Yep.
cleansing process.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so without a doubt, I think it's a great idea to do that. So if you know a business coach in your area or on the screen right now, that's something I recommend that you
Oh,
think
thank you, Jay. Oh, that's a nice way for us to end. Okay, so folks, I'm going to do the scrolling end, and I will